Hey everyone, Amar here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 4 unknown character traits of the divine masculine. I call them unknown because I sought and found these answers deep within myself through meditation and contemplation. I haven't sought these answers from someone else, a different YouTuber, or from a book. No, just through deep contemplation, right? And these are the answers that I got, hence the reason I wanted to share them with you. Before I get into the video, I just want to say, if you're new to the channel, you like this sort of thing, you want to see more, you know what to do, subscribe. Also, check me out on Instagram if you're on there as well. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So, like I said, I wanted to share these 4 unknown traits, and I call them unknown because I got them directly from the source, right? What I would suggest, however, although it's great we can share information with one another, I would also suggest that if you're seeking answers, look within yourself, right? Meditate on things, really deeply contemplate things. It's great that we can learn from other people, but at the end of the day, it's always secondhand knowledge. Getting information from the source is always going to be more valuable, right? But still, I hope this has a lot of value for you. Now, the importance of this topic. I've had to work a lot on healing this part of myself, right? You could say there's different levels of healing. We've got physical, like the most dense. We've got mental, like thoughts and beliefs and conditioning. We've got emotional, repressed stuff, trauma, even emotional conditioning. But when you've done a lot of work on them levels, you've got to go to the energetic levels, right? And the energetic levels, predominantly that make up our world and make up who we are, is these masculine and feminine energies, right? These are the energies that create worlds, right? We can see this in our everyday life. We've got these opposing dynamics. We've got duality. We've got night. We've got day. We've got man, woman, water, dry, yin, yang. We just got these opposing opposites in everything, right? And these are the energies that we're working with. So it's important that we balance and harmonize our own energies. And I think that's different for everyone, right? Some people, men generally speaking, may function better with a higher level of masculine energy, right? Balanced and harmonized with a certain amount of feminine energy, right? To be really fully in your power, right? That harmony needs to be there. But it's difficult to find the harmony because collectively the world doesn't help us. I think masculinity gets kind of demonized, especially recently, and it creates an imbalance, right? This imbalance is felt on an individual level. Individually as well, a lot of our personal conditioning, which again you could say comes from society, the way our parents were, right? How we were brought up. So if you didn't have great role models growing up, female or male, then you will probably have an imbalance in these energies, right? And you're never really going to be able to access your full potential, your full self at its most effectiveness until you work on these levels. So if you've done a lot of work on the mental and emotional levels, I'd really suggest you look at these kind of energetic levels, which means working with feminine and masculine energies. Obviously, this one is more about masculine energies because this is something that I've had to work on a lot. Hence the reason I'm making this video, but also it does interest me a lot. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So there's these 4 traits, in no particular order. They do kind of link. I found out when I looked back at them after I put them all down on paper that they're all kind of link and reinforce one another, which is really cool. And you might have even heard of some of them before, but I think I'm going to explain them in a way that you haven't heard before, right? The answers I'm going to give you come from deep levels of spiritual truth, right? So without further ado, let's get into the first of these unknown traits I want to share with you is to slow down, right? It's to slow down in your actions. It's to slow down in your speech, slow down in your thoughts, right? If you watch a lot of videos on masculinity, you might have heard this before, like the dominant male moves slowly. That's cool and it's true. However, just mimicking slow movement without the real like spiritual connection within, it's kind of fake, right? And that's one of the grievances I have with a lot of information out there. It'll teach people behavioral traits, but it won't go to the source, right? Slowness in movement, slowness in thought and action and speech should come from a place of stillness, right? And that stillness is your true self. You find the stillness when you work through the mental and emotional levels and do the healing, right? So when you find the stillness within, that naturally manifests out of you through your being. What would stillness look like if it was manifested in a human being? Less movement, slower movement, right? Thoughtfulness, speaking like slowly, not reacting, responding, right? You can't fake that, right? You can fake I'm going to slow my movements down so I look more masculine, but you can't fake the stillness, right? And that's why it makes it so powerful. That's why it makes it like really authentic, right? And I also believe when you find that stillness within, it'll slow down your brain waves, right? Probably more into like alpha states, which are obviously the word alpha male, I would suggest comes from this brainwave state, someone who's just functioning on a different brainwave level, right? Someone who's slower. Also, I learned this lesson really from interacting with my father. So my father's probably one of the most alpha men I've ever met. He wasn't a great role model for me, if I'm honest, but still he's a very alpha character. And over the years, what I've learned that the best way to communicate with him is for me to slow down, right? For most of my life, I was very much in my head and very kind of like overthinking a lot. And I struggled to connect with him from that level. When I started to find that silence and stillness within myself and I slowed myself down, I naturally found that our relationship improved. I was like just working on his level more, on this lower level. Okay, so that's where I've got these answers from, and it should be a natural expression of what's going on inside. If you're just like slowing your movements down, but inside you're chaotic, it's not real, right? And people will see through that always. Your energy will speak much louder than what you're doing. And so the second thing I want to suggest, the second trait is congruence, let's call it. There's a few different words I have for this, but congruence means you're in full alignment with yourself. Congruence means you know who you are, you know what you're feeling, right? You live in your body. Again, a big part of healing. When you really live in your body, you really know what you feel, right? You've gone beyond the conditioning. You're really living from that visceral feeling, probably in your gut, right? And when you really know who you are and you know what you're feeling, you can begin to align your thoughts, actions, behaviors, desires, wants, needs, everything from that place, right? That's what gives you true power, because then you're in absolute alignment with who you are. There's no kind of fakeness there. Oftentimes we live too much in our heads, right? We don't trust our bodies. So let's say you're talking to, I don't know, if you're a guy and you're talking to a female you're attracted to, instead of you really trusting how you're feeling, you might get too much in your head and you might say something that you think's cool, right? And obviously it won't land very well because it's not authentic. But when you feel what you're feeling and you act from that place and you align everything about you with that, then you're in full alignment. And we talk about masculinity being straight, direct, right? No one will be able to pick holes in you when you are in full alignment with yourself, right? Thoughts, actions, behaviors, feelings, emotions, desires, wants, needs. Everything is just like solid. There's no holes in that, right? And everything you will say will land with people. People will know that you're just a consistent person, right? You're congruent, you're consistent. And you can take that everywhere you go. Obviously, the impact that'll have on your relationships will change them, absolutely. But more so what I see as well is that people tend to change the character when they're in different scenarios. There's always going to be an element of that. When you're at work, you're obviously going to be acting a little bit different compared to when you're with your friends or when you're with your family. But it's about keeping the core the same, right? It's only the external face we show the world. We might alter a bit so we can act a bit more professional, but the core's always the same. We're always acting from that core. Solid, know what we're feeling in our bodies, right? So that's the second trait, consistency, congruency, in full alignment with your full self. And the third trait I want to share with you is courage. Again, you've probably heard about courage before, it's nothing new, but the courage I'm talking about here is the courage to go within and face the darkness, face your demons, right? That's how you're going to find that stillness, right? That's when you're really going to find out your own authentic expression of divine masculine energy, right? You can't find it outside of you. You have to go within. And to go within requires great courage. Obviously, we can, and I talk a lot about this, we can be more courageous in our outside world. That is obviously going to help. But I also suggest that people go silent, quiet, cut off all distractions, and face the discomfort that's going on inside them. And if you struggle to face that, seek help from someone, right? Because it's only through courage and facing the things within you are you going to be able to slay them dragons, right? Are you going to be able to really connect to your true, authentic power and integrate it into your character, right? Doing all the superficial stuff isn't going to get you to that deep stillness and silence, which is where your authenticity and your true self resides, right? So you've got to have the courage to do the work. I see a lot of guys doing the external things like going to the gym, working out, chasing the dreams and all of that stuff. I don't see enough of them doing the internal work, right? You've got to do both. So that takes me to the fourth and final trait, and that is vulnerability, to make yourself vulnerable. I want to clear this up to begin with. So sometimes when I say vulnerable, people get a bit confused about it. They think I'm saying to be vulnerable means you make yourself open to be exploited or bullied or mistreated or walked all over. I'm not talking about anything like that. The vulnerability I'm talking about is real powerful vulnerability. The best phrase I can put on it would be to wear your heart on your sleeve, right? To put yourself in situations where there's an opportunity you might get hurt, right? You might get rejected. You might fail. That's painful. Most of us, many of us, have been avoiding these emotional pains because of the wounds we've got from earlier in our lives, right? But the divine masculine isn't afraid of getting hurt, right? Essentially, what you are can never be hurt. What you are can never be rejected. I'm actually going to make another video on why rejection is a lie. I think I'm going to make it next. But you have to put yourself in these scenarios, right? To connect to not only to that stillness, to your true self, but it's going to help you harmonize and find your own healthy balance. So just to recap on these 4 unknown traits I wanted to share. First one was you've got to slow things down. It has to come from a place of stillness. Second one is to be consistent and congruent. Know what you're feeling authentically, right? Align everything with that. Express that. Don't lie to yourself. Third one, be courageous. Go within and face your trauma, your negative programming, all the stuff that causes you distress, right? That's where you're going to find who you really are. And the fourth and final one is to be vulnerable, is to wear your heart on your sleeve. Don't be afraid if you're going to get rejected. Don't be afraid of failure, right? This is just life. This is a journey. This is full of ups and downs, right? And it's in the ups and downs that you find something that doesn't go up and down, something that's more solid. And it's that solidness, that stillness I'm trying to draw your attention to, okay? But like I said, this is an important facet of the energy that needs healing. Because I think collectively, individually, it's very wounded, okay? And I see a lot of people doing good work in this space, right? And that's great. And I think we are working to heal this energy, and future generations will obviously benefit from that. So you can start now by doing this work yourself, right? I'm not saying the answers I'm suggesting are a shortcut. They're not a shortcut. If you're looking for shortcuts, I don't have them. If I have a shortcut that works, I'll share it. Most of the stuff I found can take, in some instances, years of work, right? Depending on how much stuff you've got to work through, right? But if you don't start now, you'll never get there, okay? But that is everything I've got to talk about in the video. If you enjoyed it, if you've got anything to add, any questions, comments, anything at all, hit me up down below. If you enjoyed the video, if you could please go ahead, give it a like, share, subscribe, really helps me out. Check out my book if you haven't already. I'll put a link down below. But until next time, remember to keep living free and being free. Peace.